might help you solve the problem. So just like another use of maybe a nested array, let's say you're doing a game of tic-tac-toe. So what that might look like, in a data structure, once again, you could do this in a string. Another way to do it would be, you could have some board variable. That seems like a good use case for, an array of 3 things. Kind of looks like a tic-tac-toe board, right? That'd be 3 in a row. But you could kind of, throw that in an array of arrays. Okay. So let's get on with the lecture today. So what we're going to be doing today is image upload. Now, I'd recommend, if you're following along, to do this in your starter project. And then if you just want to watch, that's fine too. And then today, for project time, what you could do is add this to your portfolio project. You don't have to do it today, but it might be nice to kind of get this set up today while it's kind of fresh in your head, or get part of it set up today. And also, once again, this lecture might not cover, especially on the front end, it might not cover your use case. So I'll show you how to set it up on the back end and how we're going to do that. But you might need to tweak yours a little bit depending on how you're uploading images. Now, I believe every group will, I'm trying to think, does every group here, like, are you going to need to upload images? I would say yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because both of you could,
sure, yeah.
you could do your user. I'm trying to think, what things do you need to, what pictures do you upload for both groups? Like WeWork, what are you going to upload? I need like the wireframe in my, or like
I think ours is for like campaign photos, like user profiles.
So like
maybe
you could add a photo to the
updates.
campaign, or an album of photos to the campaign for people to look through, and then for like profile pictures, like Joe said, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool. And then the potatoes.
For sure, the profile picture. I think we hard coded like a URL for everything else.
Okay, that might be fine. But yeah, we'll do for you. You'll definitely want to. I want everyone to like throw that in their feature. You would maybe, because you're going to have like a video URL, but that's just going to be a YouTube URL. You can maybe try to do it with Cloudinary, where you store. That'd be like a bonus. I'm not even going to say, but you can technically, you could store videos as well on YouTube, but actually you probably shouldn't do that because you'd be storing trailers, which are probably not, yours. So I get into like copyright issues with that. So don't store trailers of content that's not yours on your own cloud. Cool. Definitely don't do that. That's probably, can't say for sure, but I imagine that's illegal. Okay. So where I'm going to do this is I'm going to do this in my starter project. And then that way, if I were to use my starter project for another project, it's going to have like this image upload functionality kind of built into it. So this is also a good little demo in like, maybe there's a feature you want to add to your starter project that you might want to have for all your other starter projects. So this is where we can build on that. So now I need to go find where I put that. Should be my DPL demo in my starters folder. Oh crap, now which one do I want to use? I did a horrible job naming these. Okay. I'm gonna open this up in code and see which one I want to use. Probably not this one because that's using Rails 7. It's actually this one. But yeah, find your starter project if you want to follow along. I just want to find the one that's using the right, that's the most complete. Just probably
Are
this.
we gonna do this with the front end and back end? Or are we just doing this with the front end?
This is both like, I'd
I
say that
imagine it'd be hard.
it's
not
gonna,
to do
well, there's a back end part to, I kind of want to show you. And like I said, this is what I'm going to show you is not going to make it. This one might be a little hard to copy and paste. So
Yeah.
this is where like I want you to kind of get the concepts down, because what we're going to do, and this we're going to use like Cloudinary, which is actually going to store our image for us. But we are going to set up like an API call, and we're going to do this on the back end. And in our back end, we're going to try to store that image to Cloudinary. So this is definitely, it's a back end part and there's a front end part. And then there's a third party API part. So
Got it.
cool. So yeah, this is the one I want to use. Cool, so I'm going to use this one. Since it's fresh, I'm going to just do a get status. Cool. So I want to do a new feature, so I'm going to use a branch for this. Get checkout image upload. Cool. Maybe I don't ever merge this to master. Maybe I just leave this kind of image upload branch its own little separate branch. Cool. All right, so what we're gonna do for this, we need to go get set up on cloudinary.com. So go to cloudinary.com and you're going to sign up for free. So this one, you can't do like a quick login, I don't believe. So give them your name, email, password. So select the product. I just do this programmable media for image and video API. Now for your, and we'll see this for your portfolio project, you could set up a new Cloudinary account for your team, or you could just use one of your team's account. You're not going to use like all three of your accounts. So you could create a whole new one for your app, or you could just use someone else's. Another thing with this, you don't have to do it right away, but I'm pretty sure like this, they'll send you an email validation. I think if you don't validate your email, after a couple of days, Cloudinary will stop working. I don't think you have to do it right away, but validate your email once you sign up. Someone said that caused an issue for them, so. Cool. And then, let's see if I can log in. So something we haven't done yet, I mean, we have worked with like third-party libraries and third-party APIs, kind of. Well, yes, third-party libraries for sure, but third-party APIs, we haven't really worked with like an actual one where we're actually going to be doing CRUD actions on like their database. So what is generally going to be true if you're working with a third-party API, especially if you're doing like creating and updating to their database, you're probably going to need some keys. And these are going to be for like security reasons. You can kind of think of these as like, you know, passwords, like login and passwords type stuff. So if you want to, you know, add something to your database, you need to like send them your key, or else it won't work, because they don't want random people just like posting like to their database, because they could get like malicious people like posting, trying to just for fun go post like, you know, 2 trillion photos and crash their server. So this way they can keep track of like how often you're posting and make sure it's you. So you 100% will need these for it to work. Cool. So that's the next step we're going to do, is we're going to get it set up so we send the, when we're going to get these keys set up. So let's go to our gem file. So to use Cloudinary, so Cloudinary is going, they're the service that's going to be storing our photos. We could use something like AWS. AWS is a little more harder to set up, and Cloudinary is free. It's easy, and actually behind the scenes, Cloudinary uses that AWS. So AWS would be obviously a good solution to store data and to store like photos and videos. But so let's go ahead. We're going to add this gem here. So this is going to like, we're going to want photos in like all of our apps. So I'm going to add this to like the root level of my gem file. We're going to work, I said, we're going to need this in all environments. So we're going to want to use this in production and development. So that's why I add it there. Now there's going to be a gem I want to add for just development. And that's going to be gem dot env rails. So if I look at my change, I've added these 2 gems. And so what I'm going to want to do, I'm going to want to be setting up these keys. Now, I don't want to push these keys up to GitHub, because my repository might be public, or even if it's not, you still keys, you probably just don't want your keys up in GitHub. But I'm going to want to use them in this code base. So I'm going to do 2 things here. Because what we're going to do is we're going to create a .env file, which is going to store these environment variables. But I want to ignore, I don't want GitHub to watch this file. See how right now it's green and it says you? I don't want GitHub to watch this file. So I go through it in the git ignore. So I go to my git ignore and I add .env. And notice after I added .env inside of here, now this is grayed out. Like it went from you, like the green untracked, to just grayed out. So I'm not.
Is that like signifying that it's not active or something?
It's not, GitHub is not going to add it. Like GitHub's going to ignore it. So it's.
Oh, okay.
So I make changes in here, I save it, like that's not in, like the .env is not going to get tracked. And that also means it's not, when I push, this is not going to get pushed up to GitHub. The .env file. Cool. But I might want someone to know like that they need this .env. So I'll give them like an example. I'm going to do a .env.example. Now this doesn't do anything. This one I am going to push up to GitHub. And here's what I'm going to throw here.
So should we do the same thing or should we just do this on our .env?
Well, so here's what's, let me show. Okay, so I have this .env example. So I'll just say this, like, this file doesn't do anything. But it will be pushed up to GitHub. It'll be pushed up to GitHub, so, you know, so other users know what keys they need. I have this .env file, and yeah, let me select it. You can like, I'll throw this in Slack. The .env is where I actually want the actual value. So where do I grab the actual value? Well, I go to Cloudinary. Copy that, paste that there. Go
I don't
get
have my SDK configured yet. I don't know if we need to do that.
what was that?
On my Cloudinary account, I don't have like my SDK set up yet. I don't know if we need to do that or
You don't
not.
have these?
No, we don't. I don't.
Does anyone? You don't
I
have?
don't
Is it not under dashboard?
do.
Because I went
I
to
have that.
dashboard to find it.
Yeah, go
Okay, I see
dash,
it.
Okay.
dashboard.
I see it.
Cool. So you see what I'm just throwing, like in the .env, I throw the actual examples, but this is not going to get pushed up to GitHub. But in the env example, you know, it's just going to allow, hey, you need a cloud name. If like I clone this down, it's like, hey, you need a cloud name, you need an API key, and you need an API secret. So copy this last one. I'm going to stop sharing for this one so you don't see that one. But I'm going to copy and paste that one and throw it in the right spot. Cool. All right. So now I have, you know, those all filled out with their actual values in the .env file. And then I have this .env example that I can send up to GitHub, but doesn't have any, you know, sensitive information.
So the .env is like stored locally only on our computer. So it's like a security thing.
Yeah. So if someone does this on your team and they push up to GitHub, like this is, everyone's going to have to do this. Like you're going to have to add a .env file and copy and paste the password, all of those things. And you're going to want them to be the same for your project. You don't want to, you're not going to want to use different accounts. You're going to want to use one account for your project.
So for the team members, at least, like you should tell them all like this information.
Yeah. So you can Slack those out.
Okay. Like say I were to push up right now though, this wouldn't push up, right?
Yeah. All that's going to, I could look right. This is what's going to be pushed up. These changes. So here's what I've changed. I've added
Okay.
these two.
Because your
channels.
env example file is not actually an env file.
Yeah, it's just an example. There's one more thing I want to set up though, for this, and that's going to be, so I go into my browser. So I'm going to want to, so in my Rails app, I'm going to want to go to the config folder. And inside of here, I'm going to create a cloudinary.yml or YAML file, and this needs to spell that right. And I'm just going to slack this out what this needs to be. What we're going to paste inside of here. Or actually, when we'll talk about pushing to production. I don't know if we'll do it this week, but there's also going to be another step when we push to production. We're going to need to copy and paste those keys in what's called Heroku, which is the service that's going to be hosting our website. But what this does, so this cloudinary.yaml file, it's going to look at your .env file, and in combination with the gem we added, this .env rels, it will help set up these variables. So like it will send, instead of env cloud name, it will actually grab the cloud name from your .env file. So this is how we're getting those keys set up to be sent when we start working with Cloudinary. So yeah, we have these two gems. Ignore the .env, but that's where we set up the actual, that's where we pasted the actual variables. We have a little example here to show how we did that. And then in the Cloudinary YAML, this is where we can get those variables from the .env file. And then we'll, behind the scenes, Rails will use those when we try to interact with the Cloudinary API. All right. Questions on this? Cool. Let's just I'm going to, okay, I think so for our front end, or actually let's go ahead. I kind of just want to keep this, like this first example, simple. So let's go ahead and do this. So let's just do like a basic file upload. And I don't even, for now, I'm not even going to add anything to my models. Because if I look at my schema, I have a user model. And there's actually already on my user model, there's an attribute called image that's like ready to, get thrown an image. And what this is going to be a URL to an image. So we'll do that on our users table. So we don't need to do anything with our model right now. So we'll do like an update on users to like add an image. Does that make sense? So let's do this. I'm just going to do a get add dot dash m. This would be Cloudinary, key setup. All right. The next thing I want to do is let's maybe just do this. Well, let's get this running. So we're going to use this library for the front end. It's called File Pond React. This is a library that's built off of, there's also, let's just kind of look at these two libraries. There's File Pond. So this is easy file uploading with JavaScript. If we look at like the GitHub for this, it's got like 12,000 stars. It's a pretty popular library. What it really does is it just gives us like a nice front end UI to upload files. So it gives us like in a way to add multiple files, drag and drop, gives us this nice little UI to visually see it. So this is File Pond. Now this is just a JavaScript library. This doesn't have React, but what a lot of the time people will do is they'll take a library that does like something like this, like image upload, and they'll wrap it into like a React wrapper. So there's a File Pond React. So this is React File Pond. Now this one is going to utilize File Pond, but it has this React usability with it, which is nice because then we can probably use like hooks and components, stuff like that. So, they give us a little, some instructions here, but we could even almost try on their sandbox. Like what this does, they also have some docs. So these are things, you might need to reference when doing your use case. Because this File Pond one, I would say this is a library that's a little more customizable, a little more nice, but I think it makes it a little harder to use, but it gives us more functionality. But I can see here, like I can drag and drop, or I can browse. If I click this browse, it pulls up my, just one of these browsers. So I can like take a screenshot and, throw one of these things in here. Open, it gives me this UI. I could close it. Cool. So I'm going to throw out in Slack what we need to add on the client side for this. There's quite a bit of libraries that we're going to add. See, we're adding React File Pond, but we're also adding just that File Pond library. And then we're adding a couple other ones for like the image preview and the image orientation. Can't remember if in the example, what happened to my browser? See, like this example is using like that orientation. It's using the image preview. So that's why we want all of those. Cool. So go ahead and do this in your client folder. Go ahead and add all of those. Cool. And there we are with that. So with, once again, just kind of like getting this working. I think, we see this example in Code Sandbox. It's not like fully, like this isn't obviously saving to a database, it's just the front end part. I think before we do anything, let's try to get this working on our front end, just the UI part. So I could go into my clients, components. Maybe I want my like a little own like a little own page for this.
Why don't you want this in the auth component?
In the what component?
The auth, or I guess the auth folder.
Yeah, I could throw it in here. This could be like,
Because wouldn't you need like a user for this?
yeah, I guess since I'm uploading it to the user, in this case, I could, yeah, let's just do a profile.js on here. We'll have a profile page. I think that makes sense. So I could maybe just copy this or copy a lot of this. I don't need this stuff because this is what's rendering it to the actual DOM. We do this in our index, but I could just take this component, like this code here, copy it inside of here. Maybe instead of calling this app, call this profile.
You Slack that out.
Yeah. I'll add some stuff here too, because maybe, okay, let's grab our profile page. Another thing I might want here, and before I Slack this out, I probably want if this is a profile page, let's just grab my user. So let's do const auth. Let's do this like this. What am I doing here? Const user equals use context. I do have that, right? It's not importing it. Auth. I hope I have my auth. Do I not have auth context? Let's see here. Let's go to my providers. Auth provider. It is there. I guess I just need to manually import it. So let's do this import auth context. There it is. Let's pause right here. Let's kind of like what's going on here. Let's do a review. Why am I doing brackets right here and then saying user equals use context, auth context? I don't know if like maybe yours looked something like this. What's the difference between these two?
Is user, are you asking it that user props? Like is that part of the auth context?
Is user part of the auth context?
Are you, I'm trying to think of the word. Like destructuring it? Is that what it is?
Yes, just like we saw with the array. So here's array destructuring. So use state returns in an array. How do I know that? Well, I'm destructuring an array right here. Well, what am I doing right here? I'm destructuring an object. So it's just like essentially me saying, hey, I want to declare two variables, files and set files, set it equal to those first two things in the array. What's the big difference between array destructuring and object destructuring? Like, why does use state return in an array and not an object? Well, with array destructuring, I can name my variables anything. I just need to do them in the right order. like this is the first thing's always going to be the state in the use state hook. The second thing's always going to be the thing to set the state. If it's object destructuring, I need to match the name of the key in the object. And if I look at my auth provider and I look at what I'm actually sending down in the value, there's a user key. So if I'm doing object destructuring, I could pull any of these outside of here. And the order doesn't matter. I could say set user, user, because the order doesn't matter. What matters is the name. Here it's what matters is the order and not the name. I could call this X and taco. That would grab me the state, and taco is the method to set the state. But I really just need the user. So let's just to see if this is working, let's just do a JSON.stringify user. So maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself by trying to do two things at once. So hand slap on me, but let's see if it works. And then if it does, we'll slack it out. So I'm going to start my Rails server and I'm going to start my React. Oh, I might also want to, but what do I need to do? This will become pretty apparent. I want to test this.
Did you say you would slack out all this stuff on that profile page?
I'm going to slack out this profile page.
Okay.
But what I want to test this out. What do I need?
Need a page for it.
Yeah, I need to actually set this up. So we can come into here. This should probably be a protected route, right? Because this is a profile page. I kind of want to have probably want this to be a protected route, because how am I going to see this page? How am I going to see the user if they're not logged in? Profile. Did I not export default this? Oh yeah, so here's my function profile. I need to do an export default profile. Let me just select this out, and if there's an error, we can fix it. So I can export it. Oh, I don't need this React DOM. There's something I don't need. I'll get rid of that. Don't think it would really break anything, but it's not going to be used, so we can get rid of it. Okay, so my app.js, let's go ahead and add a route for that and do that in your protected section. Call this profile, import that. So now that's imported. And they could, so that's /profile. So we could add a route for that in the nav bar. Go to my nav bar. So maybe I'll just throw this right here. You know, if we have an auth.user, let's set up a link for the profile. Let's use their name actually. Let's do, yeah, let's just profile. That's easy enough. So let's log in. So now we have this profile page. There we go. We have the email. There's the user info. And then we also have our drag and drop. So to look at the changes we made since our last commit, since the Cloudinary commit. So we added some libraries. We added these 4 JavaScript libraries that changed our yonder and lock. We don't really need to look at that. Our app.js, well, let's go backwards. We created this profile page. We created our nav bar, just a link there, and then added that. And that seems to be working. And see, this is like, well, I could also, let's also check. Let's do a browse, you know, grab an image, open. Cool. That's working. See it like, and then this would be, I think this would be a good time to commit. Because it's kind of nice if we keep committing often and kind of when we're kind of getting, you know, things complete, it's kind of, it's really actually it's really nice to go through and look at what you changed. If those changes are all related to like a specific feature. This was just kind of getting the profile page up, you know, with a kind of stubbed out image uploader. Cool. So now I could, you know.
Did you write all that code for the profile page, or did that come from a library somewhere?
No, that the profile page, yeah, this is what I copied from the sandbox.
Oh,
So that's once again, like, it's once again just getting, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself by just getting, you know, looking at a working example on Code Sandbox or from their documentation and then throwing it up on my app.
okay.
Now- And then now this would be a good time to commit. Okay. Does this have, so let's go back to the profile page. So it looks like we have like this files and set files. So let's go ahead and let's try to get this. And then if I look at the file pawn, it looks like it says on update files. We're calling this set files. So something I'm going to do for now, I'm not going to, just because this is only going to be one image, what do you think allow multiple does? This is a prop on the file pond, React.
Multiple
Like where you
images.
can put in multiple, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want that, so I'm going to allow that to be false. I also allow reorder. Well, if I don't have multiple files, then I'm just going to have that probably not be there. Something I'm going to do as well is on this on update files, instead of it calling this set files, I'm going to do my own function right here. I'll just call this handle update. And then I can do a const handle update. And maybe show you a different couple ways to do file pawn, but so instead of it handling this automatically or passing the set files, I'm just going to do it right here. All right. And then let's just call that X for now. Let's just do a console.log. What is X? Let's see, I can't remember how well their docs are. There's React. Available configuration options. So this starts to give you like, so here are like, this is the file pond. Is this the React? Oh, I don't even know if this is the React section. So this is where this can get maybe a little, these libraries, especially if they're built on a JavaScript one, like I would assume that we would have these props, but we might not. So let's look at this one. We have this on update files. So I might want to like read like, what does this do? So this is going to, this is a callback. So you can think of it like callback. This is going to happen after some event occurs. And this is going to be called when a file has been added or removed and, you know, receives a list of file items. So that's files. So that's what that X is going to be. It's going to be a list of file items. Okay. So let's just maybe throw this right here. Because that on update files is going to get triggered when a file has been added or removed, receives a list of file items. So let's call this files. We could call it X, but files is probably a better name. And just to kind of verify this, we could do like console.log. Just like this. Does that description make sense? So I'm reading these because this is what I have to work with. Like these are saying, hey, these are the callbacks we have. It's like, hey, this one's going to get called when a file has been added, removed, and you get the list of files. Okay, so on update files, I pass it this function, which is going to have that list of files. So let's see if this is working. Just trying to like explore this library a little. Let's go ahead and click, you know, let's go ahead and add a, you know, image. I didn't see, I'm expecting to see that log. All right, let's refresh this. Oh, I don't even think I have my server running. That's a problem. Rails s-p 3001. So from the hackathon and, you know, other homeworks, I'm just like this, I'm trying to get you to like show you points where you should not continue work until you get like X done. So before I'm working on this handle update, I just try to get the file pond like UI up and running. I shouldn't try to do like a handle update until I had that working. So the next thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these logs to run. Like I'm trying to just get this function to run. And I'm not going to do anything else until I get this done. Does that make, like this is, it's maybe hard to separate these into these tasks, and they can kind of just be kind of self-imposed and kind of, you know, I'm deciding this as I kind of go, and you will too. There's not going to be like it's not like a takeoff list on a plane. It's like you kind of need to decide how far you want to go before, you know, like I want to get this working before I move on. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can get this callback working that's going to log this function whenever a file has been added or removed. So I'm going to log in. because when I did that first time, I was like, hey, something's broken. And then I was easily able to find, oh yeah, well, my server's not running. Maybe that was it. So now let's try. I'm going to go to browse. I'm going to click open. There we go. Now I'm seeing that log. A file has been added or removed. List the files. Sweet. So I can clear that. If I delete it, a file has been added or removed. And then I can go look at that files thing. What type of object is this? Or what type of data structure?
An array.
It's an array. And then if I look at that, if I look into it, then I can see, I don't know if I can go in and find that thing. What's right here? Cool. This is actually getting me some of the file information that I'm going to want. So that's cool. So you think if I allowed multiple, let's switch that to true. You know, if I try that, I click browse, open. There's my file. I click another one. Cool. There's another one. Now, like I have like 2 things in my array. So now I have those 2 files in there. Sweet. So that's maybe, and then if I remove it, like now I'm back down to 1. And then I'm down to 0. But so yeah, we're going to allow this. We're going to say this to be false, and then receives a list of files. So for this one, I only care about 1. So my file is going to be files at 0. There we go. So see, I'm kind of just like doing a little experimentation with that and kind of understanding how the library works. Sweet. So, because this is really what I want, and this is where like I'm going to help you with this. So I really just want to get that file that was uploaded, because what I want to do is I now want to like I'm going to want to do an Axios call here, or let's maybe do this. Well, this is actually, how are we going to do this? We're going to put this in a form. That is going to have a button. Update user. And then this is going to have like our handle submit. So there's kind of going to be 2 different things here. We're going to have our handle. We're doing the handle update for the image and then the handle update for our form. Because maybe eventually we'll want to throw like, you know, update like the username or update other user information on this profile page. So let's do an e.prevent default. Here I'm going to set my files here just to be files. I know there's just one, but for now we'll just keep that plural. But we could, in our handle submit, we could console.log, you know, profile image should be files at 0. Here, Axios call. So now let's refresh. Let's throw this. This is maybe a little hard to see. I'm going to throw this, just give this a little basic style. This width of, I don't know, 600 pixels and center it. Border so we can see our form. Let's give it some padding because that looks pretty bad. So now I'm just creating like a basic form. Maybe just call this this is going to be we're not going to do create here, right? This is just going to be update. And yeah, like I said, eventually we could maybe do something like, I don't know, email. I don't know, do websites, I always think about this. Do websites let you update your email?
I think some of them.
I think that can kind of change from website to website. What else? We have a nickname, right? What could we update as well in our schema? Or, yeah, we have a nickname. Name and nickname. So let's just do name. Cool. So eventually, maybe we can update the name and then an image. There we go. There's our lovely UI. So update user. But yeah, the next thing I wanted to check was, so I set up this handle submit. Am I logging the file that was uploaded? So now I browse, now I go ahead. Browser profile image. Did I break something? Oh, I think my button. So now something's broken. I'm now clicking a whole bunch of stuff and it's not I'm getting this profile 37. What's going on there? Profile 37. It's clicking the handle, it's calling the handle submit. But I'm just clicking this browse. I'm not clicking the button. Now this might be a kind of a confusing bug to this might even be a hard bug to find. But since I've tested this, I've done a lot small steps in testing. I've at least kind of figured out what's going on, right? It's instead of calling the handle update, it's calling the handle submit. And that might lead me to Google stuff well, my button's not getting triggered, or my clicking on my form is triggering my handle submit when I'm not clicking on the button. think what we need to do is put a type on here. Type equals submit.
Should you change your form to on submit instead of on click?
Oh, that is it, actually. That is the error. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I had that on click. So that's the click event. So now that whole form, that is the thing that has the border on it. And that should actually fix it. I was like, I don't think I need the submit on there. Cool. Now that works. And that calls that. What I was going to do, and this is just more like a semantic thing, I was going to put type submit. But that would have not fixed it. That was, you were right, Steve. That was the error right there. But it would have been a lot easier to find, because what I could have done is go into like my Git and maybe see the, and since I've been committing frequently, I could go through and see, hey, what did I add since my last commit on this page? And that might help me focus on, okay, here's the things I've added. Like, which one of these things might have broken something? Because sometimes you get into bugs where you just have no idea what's causing them. So the more you're committing and the more you're checking, like you're continually checking that things are working, the easier those kind of mysterious bugs are to find. If you just try to do this all at once, you're going to run into situations where, especially when you're just kind of learning how to debug, it's probably going to be almost like impossible to find some of these. Not impossible, but very, very challenging. But yeah, like that could have taken, right? How long do you think that might have taken you? I mean, Steve, good job for seeing that, but that, had you just done this all in one go, man, it's just one word on. So that's the other thing too. You say like on click, you can just like read that and just like glance over it so easily. There it is. So now I'm checking this, like select an image. There's a list of files, but now when I click update user, cool, there's my profile image. Sweet. So I'm getting closer. This is like, what I'm going to want to send. Let's do one more thing. Let's do this profile files. That's the first thing, but let's grab this .file key off of here. Just do this one more, just so we can see that .file attribute on there. So I hit update user. There it is. Now this is actually what I want to send up to my server. So this will kind of like behind the scenes will like send the bytes up to my server and it will like store it to Cloudinary. So I need to pass it this, but this has a whole bunch of like, data on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this up as a param. So I'm going to create this let data equals new form data. Form data is a JavaScript. This is built into JavaScript. It's let's just look at what it says. Provides an easy way to construct a set of key value pairs representing form fields and their values, which can easily then be sent using the XML HTTP request send. So you could think of that XTML HTTP request. That's us doing an Axios call. That's us on the front end doing Axios dot blank, which is going to be an XML HTTP request because we're requesting to do something. So essentially what it's doing is it's taking these key value pairs and it's going to give us a nice way to send that data. So what I'm going to do, so I create this data object and I can do this. I can do it data.append. So I'm going to call this, just call this file yo. So I'm appending a key called file yo, and I'm going to set it equal to this value, this file0.file, which is, has all this information on it, like the relative path, last modified, this thing. So it's going to append all of those key value pairs onto this param called file yo. Okay. And then now we're ready to do our Axios call, which we don't have set up, but we're just going to do this. We'll just fake it and then we'll do it on the back end. So I'm going to do a let response equal await. An Axios. Is this going to be, even though we don't have this done, is this going to be a post or a put, or what is this going to be?
Probably a punt, right?
Yeah, it's a put because we're updating. So I don't know. I'm just going to create like a custom route for this. Let's just do user upload. Let's call it, let's just say user image. Or we can do user underscore image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this data object we created where we've appended file yo. And for these, I would definitely recommend with these Cloudinary things you're going to do Cloudinary to do a try catch. Because there's a couple errors, there's a couple more errors we could run into. So it's going to be nice to have the errors. Or to know there was an error.
Would you need to put API before that user image?
Oh yeah, that would be probably
And
the smart thing to do.
is this supposed to be async as
Yeah.
well?
Yep, and this one would need to be async. Good catches. And we could also do like a, just for now, console.log res. See if right here we can do a console.log data, because this is not going to work, but maybe we can at least log data, like trying to update. With data, and then we could log that data. Cool. So let's refresh. I'm really just ignoring this name field for right now. Cool, so I can get rid of these logs too. Like sometimes logs, they can get a little messed, like I don't need all of those right now. So I update user. Okay, so there's my 404. Why is my, that's not a surprise, right? We don't have that defined. I'm not seeing my data. Well, data.append. Maybe it's not going to show me there. I'm expecting there to be file yo on here. Just saying it's form data.append. Let's try this one more time. Browse, select the photo, open, update user. Yeah, that's not there. That might be a problem. Maybe it actually, that might not be a problem. Let's see if when we actually send it, if it was actually sending it. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's go to the back end now and define this route. So we need to do a user image, or let's maybe call this. Let's maybe do API users and then update image. So let's go into my routes. So we don't have anything here. So namespace, API do end. That was a put request to users / image update. I've like forgotten how to do this. I don't even know. This doesn't look right. Okay, I think
It
it is.
was update image.
Update image. All right. We really don't have a user's controller, do we? That's kind of like, so if I look at my app controllers, I actually don't even have any controllers in here. If I wanted to like have my own, like they have like this API auth one, maybe I want my own little special one for users. Because so when I do this mount device token auth for users, and I go to my localhost 3000 Rails info routes. Oh, it doesn't like this. Let's fix this. It gives me all these API auth routes. It's probably like a where I could update a user. But I don't want to like, let's try not to use this one. We could probably use this API auth to update a user, but let's just create our own little controller for this, just because I want to like, this one we actually would need to create like our own custom one for this because we're doing like Cloudinary stuff. So what I'm going to do is generate a controller for this Rails G controller API / users. So now I can go to this users and then we'll just call it the same as the route image update or update image. Now I do have a users controller. So let's do this def update image and let's just do a puts here. Let's just render JSON. JSON just for now. We'll just render JSON working. Why is that capitalized, not params? You can almost just try rendering JSON back params. Kind of silly, but okay. Unable to validate token. Oh, I stopped my server. So rels s-p 3001. Let's go ahead and log in back again. Profile page. Let's go grab an image. Open. Click console. I'm also going to just want to do like a dash here just so you can see that console as well. Update user. Trying to update. Okay, so there's my 200. That's good. Notice how so I'm rendering back, I do a render JSON, my params. So this is actually what one way I could see my params is just by rendering it back. There's my, see how this, there's my response.data. So this is my params. This is what rels is params is. See that file yo? The file yo, there it is. There's like the information for my file. There's also this temp file, which is the thing that I need to save. So I'm getting, and I could see this in my console as well, my params in my server. See file yo, there's all the stuff I need. Cool. So params. Now, should I call this file yo? It's probably not a good name, right? I'm calling it file yo just to make the connection between our front end. I should probably just call this file. I'm going to stick with it for file yo, just so when I do a data.append, that's the name of that key I'm going to get on my params, and the value is going to be the thing. I could also do like data.append name, because maybe we want to send, or what was it? Yeah, the name. Value equals name on change equals set name. So now I can grab, our basic, input dot target dot name. So now I've set up this input, my name input, to have this name state. Oh, need to do set name. That probably should not be an array to start out with. That should probably just be an empty string. So create, just like what I would with any input, just create some state. So, name state and a way to set it. Create the input for it. And now I can just use this data object to append this name key and give it the value name. So now let's clear this. Let's just do this. Just refresh, make sure it's there. That's not changing. So let's go fix that.
Dang it, is it e.target.value?
Yeah, it is. e.target.value. So name ASDF, browse, open, update user, My response.data should be, you know, those params. So I have params fileo and params name. Cool. So I'd say now would also be like, I'm going to do another commit. Add dot. Well, let's, before we commit, let's just look at what we did, just review what we've done since our last commit. So we created a users controller where really all I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to see, hey, can I get the info from my front end to this method? You know, because to do is actually use params to add image binary. But I've got this step of like, well, now I know I actually have the data from my front end because I'm kind of testing that. Cool. So we've done that in my profile.js. We've set up an Axios call. I probably don't need all these logs anymore because these were just for testing. Feel pretty good about that, so I can get rid of those. What else did I add? We did our on submit, some styling, the input. Cool. So I think that's looking good. And then our routes.rb, we just added our one route. So we're getting, so we actually hit that page. Cool. So I can do a get add dot, get commit -m. Front end sending, data. Let's take a break. Let's just do a quick, like, we're kind of running a little late, but we're almost there. Let's do just a quick, like, 5-minute break. Does anyone need any of this code?
I need the profile one.
Yeah, I kind of fell behind.
Cool. Let's see. I'll do a get push. Let me do this. I'll do a get push origin image upload. And I'll Slack out the repo. Now you're going to need to go to the image upload branch. So when you open this, you need to go select the image upload branch. I guess I could just Slack out this one. Because that is where the changes will be. But I will just, like, since I will Slack out the profile since that was the one we did the most work on. Yeah, let's just come back 12:35. We'll go from there.